You're listening to Rae'd It on Reddit, where I narrate real stories pulled from some of Reddit's most dramatic and emotional threads. Each story has been slightly adapted for clarity and flow, but full credit goes to the original authors who shared their experiences in their respective communities. The Motel That Shouldn't Have Existed. This happened about 7 years ago. My family and I had traveled out of state for what ended up being our first and last family reunion. It was July, it was hot, and our Airbnb was packed with relatives and no AC. Personalities clashed, tempers flared. By the 4th of July, things blew up. Past midnight, my mom had enough. She packed a bag and took me, 10 years old and sick at the time, away from the chaos. My dad and younger siblings stayed behind. They were still having fun. Since we flew in, we didn't have a car. After some back and forth, my grandparents let my mom borrow theirs. That's how we ended up driving through the dark, empty roads, searching for a quiet hotel. Eventually, we found a chain motel just off the highway. It was familiar and, more importantly, open. As we pulled into the lot, I noticed a man in full camouflage, hat, shirt, pants, emerge from the trees in the median. He was smoking a cigarette and casually asked, "Do y'all want a room?" My mom said yes. We followed him into the motel's small lobby. It was more like a room with a desk and a couple of chairs. He slipped behind the desk, typing away at the computer. My mom requested a queen bed, non-smoking. He nodded and then asked, "Are you two alone?" I don't remember if she answered. Instead of a key card, he handed us an old-school key on a chain. Odd, but maybe this place just hadn't updated yet. It was a small town, but things got weirder. He started asking us personal questions. What we were doing in town, if we saw the fireworks, then led us to our room. And when I say led us, I mean he walked us to the door, opened it, and showed us inside. The smell of smoke hit instantly. We had asked for a non-smoking room. He didn't seem to care. He walked in like he owned the place, turned on lights, messed with the AC, and opened the closet door, giving us a full tour of a tiny room with one bed and 2 nightstands. I stepped in with my blanket and stuffed animal, ready to collapse. My mom stood in the doorway, unmoving. Then she said, "Come here." Her voice was tight, low and serious, the kind of voice you don't argue with. When I didn't move fast enough, she said it again, sharper this time. I reluctantly walked back to her. She grabbed me and moved me behind her. We went back to the front desk. She asked for a different room, one that didn't smell like smoke. The man followed us, slow and quiet, and then he said something that made my stomach turn. "You two are sure a far way from home." My mom handed him her credit card. He kept talking. She stared at her phone. Suddenly, her phone rang. Our family ringtone echoing through the room. She answered it like it was totally normal. "Hi, honey." "What was that?" "Are you with Jack?" "We found a place." "Okay, yeah, we'll see you there. Love you." I blinked at her, confused. "Mom, why is Dad calling? Are they coming here?" She ignored me. She told the man that her husband and child were down the road, that they'd already gotten a room. We'd be leaving to go meet them. Back in the car, I asked what was going on. Over and over, she just held my hand. Then, as we drove away, she finally said, "I lied." Turns out, the moment that man opened the motel room door, something felt wrong. We were on the first floor, easy to access. The key was old. He had clearly walked us there with intention. He knew we were alone. As she acted casual, she had been texting my dad, asking him to call her at a specific time. That fake conversation? It was a show, one she hoped the man would overhear. A subtle warning. Someone knows where we are. We drove into town and found another hotel, safer, newer, and with a pool. My dad and sibling joined us the next day. That was the end of it. Or so I thought. Years later, I returned to the same lake with my sibling and grandparents. As we drove into town, we passed a fenced-off lot. Charred remains of a building sat behind caution tape. My grandma pointed at it and said, "That used to be a motel. It burned down last October. It was the same motel. I searched the internet. No articles, no explanations, nothing. Just ashes. Looking back now, I'm thankful for my mom's instincts. I still don't know what might have happened if we stayed, but I know I never want to find out. To the man at the motel, let's not meet again. The RV, neighbor with secrets. I live alone in a small house tucked away in a rough part of a big city. It's not the nicest neighborhood. Many homes are vacant or abandoned, but those of us still here are close-knit. Like many cities, ours has been hit hard by homelessness. It's not unusual to see people living in cars or RVs. So I wasn't entirely shocked when, last October, a neighbor texted me, "You might want to look out your back window." 10 feet from my house, right on the edge of my unfenced backyard, sat a massive 40-foot motorhome wedged into the dead-end alley behind me. I'm used to weird things happening in urban life, but this felt intrusive. Especially since my back window, the one facing it, is my bathroom window. The RV just sat there for weeks. Some of us guessed it belonged to a supervisor working nearby construction sites. It didn't bother me at first, no trash, no noise, though I was nervous that if it rolled even slightly, it might crash through my wall. The real problem? It blocked the entire alley, but getting it removed wasn't simple. Because someone might be living in it, the city needed evidence it was a hazard or abandoned. So I ordered a cheap webcam off Amazon, pointed it at the RV, and went on with life. About a week later, after dinner with friends, I checked the footage, and what I saw kept me up for nights. Like clockwork. Midnight. Every night. The RV's lights would flick on. A few cars would pull up behind it. People would unload garbage bags, overstuffed, heavy, and bring them into the RV. Then, they'd walk down the side yard of the empty house next door, into my yard, and slowly circle my home, shining flashlights into my windows. From midnight to 5 a.m., it was like a quiet storm of motion out back. By day, nothing out of the ordinary. Now, for context, my house is basically a studio above a garage, built on a slope. My bed is 10 feet from those windows. And last summer, our neighborhood saw 20 armed home invasions. Plus, an occupied home across the street had recently been set on fire. To say I felt vulnerable is putting it mildly. I moved furniture around my bed to form a barricade. I called 911. They didn't take me seriously. Nothing was actively happening as I called. I was told to try the non-emergency line in the morning. So I checked the porch lights, planning to make myself feel safer. That's when it got worse. As I stepped outside, the RV door swung open. A man and a woman stepped out. It was 39 degrees out, but they were wearing t-shirts and shorts. They looked vacant, zombie-like. I waved. They didn't respond, just stared right past me. I backed into the house, but before I shut the door, I noticed something chilling. The RV had 6 cameras mounted on it, 3 pointed directly at my back door. I was watching them. They were watching me. Over the next few days, I became fully nocturnal. I kept the lights on all night. I was unraveling. This whole thing was both oddly uneventful and deeply disturbing. Friends told me I was overreacting. Maybe they just work night shifts. If you were living in a vehicle, wouldn't you want cameras too? Maybe, but it didn't feel right. One day, I left for a work meeting. While I was out, my camera pinged. Activity detected. I checked the feed. The RV folks had wrapped yellow caution tape around my backyard, across the alley, and staked out a perimeter. They'd even put up traffic cones. Things were getting weird. We started a group chat with neighbors to keep tabs. One neighbor saw the woman from the RV using a chainsaw to limb her oak tree. In daylight, when confronted, the woman just stared silently, just like she had with me. That neighbor called the cops. Officers showed up, looked confused, and then suddenly sped off. Lights and sirens blazing. A shooting nearby, we assumed. Later that week, I was awoken by yelling. On camera, I saw another neighbor, a Navy vet, arguing with a police officer who was now banging on the RV door. A brand new sports car was parked behind the RV. I hadn't seen it before. I quietly approached the alley and gave the officer a full rundown of everything that had happened. He told me the RV was registered to someone deceased, 4 counties away. Suspicious, but not enough for arrest. He issued a 24-hour tow notice. As he wrote the ticket, the sports car suddenly reversed down the alley, fast, and nearly hit the cruiser. The officer barked at me to leave immediately. Back home, I turned on the police scanner. Terms like gang unit, domestic violence, vice, and CSI came through. So I wasn't crazy. That night, the officer called, asking for all my footage. "This guy's going away," he told me. "We towed the car as evidence. The RV's next." I finally slept well. Until morning, I woke to glass breaking. 3 masked men were breaking into the RV with crowbars. One had climbed a ladder and was sawing through the roof with an angle grinder. I called 911. "Is it your RV?" "No." "Sir, you can't report a stolen vehicle that isn't yours." Unbelievable. I tried again. "We've dispatched a tow truck," they said. "Maybe those are the operators?" Just then, the real tow truck turned the corner. The masked men jumped in the RV and sped off, fast enough to tear up the alley. It's a miracle they didn't crash into a house. Whatever just happened was over. Or so I thought. In the weeks that followed, my new security system lit up frequently. Flashlights in my backyard, cars idling out back with headlights off, people creeping around. One night, a man crouched low, slowly moving up the alley. He paused behind my house, then ran full speed at my door. Another time, I came face to face with someone, his face pressed to my kitchen window. Thankfully, every time the sirens blared and lights hit, they ran. One guy even face-planted, trying to hop a wall. Friends said I was overreacting. Maybe someone lost their dog. Maybe it had always been like this. I just hadn't noticed. I filed a public record request to get more information. What I learned? That man in the RV had kidnapped his ex-girlfriend and was likely trafficking her. She had called 911 during her captivity but didn't know the neighborhood. The cops were searching the wrong side of town. He had a long history of burglary, fraud, weapons charges. The RV loaded with firearms and makeshift weapons. And the scariest part? He told someone he'd come back and kill whoever sent him to jail. At the bottom of the police report, in bold all caps, was my name and address, listed as the complainant. But it didn't matter. The RV was stolen before they could get a warrant. The woman fled during the arrest. She's never been found. And the DA dropped the case. He was out of jail in 48 hours. It's been 6 months since my last late-night visitor. Things are quieter now. My home is lit 360 degrees, surrounded by thorny plants. And yes, I sleep with a rifle by the bed. New neighbors have moved into the vacant houses beside me. Good people. I just don't know if I have the heart to tell them what went down. Thanks for listening to Rae'd It on Reddit. Don't forget to follow for more stories like this. Until next time, stay curious.